joining us on this special edition of our program, Issues of the Moment. Issues of the Moment is a current affairs program of Living Television Film Academy here in Aba, a commercial capital of Southeast Nigeria. And today on the program, we are going to examine the activities of Abia State government. And today we are lucky to have in our studio Abia State Commissioner of Information and Strategy, Honorable Chikam Nayo. Honorable Chikam Nayo is also a legal practitioner. Honorable Commissioner, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm fine. I also have in the studio two of my professional colleagues who are joining me in this interaction with the Honorable Commissioner. Sitting on my far left is Mr. Chinedum Adele. Mr. Adele, welcome to the program.
Welcome, listeners, and I guess you're welcome.
I also have Chuks Mwagbe. Chuks, it's a pleasure having you on the program.
It's a pleasure too. Unfortunately, welcome.
Thank you.
Chinedum Adele, I want you to go ahead and fire the first shot.
Honorable Commissioner, you're welcome to this wonderful program.
Thank you.
We know that in the state, Abia here, you are not a new person, not just in this administration, even administrations before now. Yeah, since this your return as a commissioner for information, which is a very wonderful ministry in every state government. How has it been with you?
It's been very good. It's a familiar terrain, so we are putting all the structures in place to do the needful, which is to make sure that our people of Abia State, wonderful people of Abia State, great people of Abia State, that they are properly informed about government programs, policies, projects, and then we also try to mobilize our people towards social development. You know, the essence of government is twofold: security and welfare of the people. So the Ministry of Information bears that in mind when disseminating information. Those information that will promote the security of our people, those information that will promote the welfare of our people, that's our focal point.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Commissioner. This is a familiar terrain. It's a familiar turf. You have been here several times. But this time around, it does appear that you are on a very hot seat. Opponents of the government are firing at you from different cylinders. How do you feel about it?
It's not a hot seat for me, it can never be. And I don't really see opposition as a negative phenomenon. That is when opposition is constructive. But if you are referring to a motley crowd of a tiny minority who pretend to be playing opposition politics, but who are actually creating social unrest for political reasons, then those people, I normally treat them the way they should be treated. I try as much as possible to ignore them and continue to keep my eyes on the ball, which is to make sure that we promote the security and welfare of our people, which is what Governor Kezi Bazo, the rebuilder of Abia State, that is what he's doing. Governor Bazo is focused on scoring goals for Abia and Abians. From 2015 till now, his cardinal objective is to create a better life for our people in all sectors and segments. So it's like the footballer who wants to score goals. I'm sure you have gone to football tournaments and matches. A serious footballer who is carrying the ball and stretching and stretching and stretching to score goals doesn't necessarily bother about what people who are in the bystands are saying. But those people are sitting down, they are not running around the field, they are not exerting any effort. They are just drinking coke, sometimes meat pie, or maybe hanging around their loved ones. So they can pass any comment based on the exigencies or emotions they feel. But the player is stressing his muscle, stretching, and making sure that his eyes is on the goal. That's what Governor Baz is doing. So he has an idea of where he wants to go. He's interested in creating a better life for Abia people in Aba, in Ohio, in all the rural areas. So he cannot afford to be distracted by the shenanigans of a tiny clique of political wayfarers.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Before we ask the next question, I want to announce that we have students of Living TV Film Academy part of the audience. Choose.
Okay, Madam Commissioner, you're welcome once more. I want to go to, you said that government has to do with welfare and security. Last year, the governor released about 3.2 billion naira for, to offset the backlog of salaries owed Abia workers. Then when you were making the statement, you disclosed that no core civil servant in Abia State is owed. Now I want you to clarify who is a core civil servant in Abia State, and those who are not core civil servants, who is answerable to the debts that are being owed?
Yes, since you want to be educated, but I assume you are asking for the purpose of rhetorics, because there is what we call the Abia State Civil Service Commission, saddled by the Constitution to employ civil servants. Anybody employed by the Abia State Civil Service Commission is a core civil servant. They are the people who are bound by the rules, the regulations, the conditions of service of the civil service. Then you have institutions that are called parastatals, which are semi-public and semi-business in orientation.
Whose business, sir?
Well, I'm trying to make this point. Just be patient.
Okay.
We are not having an exchange.
No,
We're having a
no,
conversation.
Not at all.
I said that we have an institution of government called the Abia State Civil Service Commission. You have a sister institution called the Local Government Service Commission. If you enter to the Abia State Civil Service Commission, you are bound by the conditions of service and you are bound by the duties as prescribed by law. Those people that pass through that are called civil servants. We only use the word core to elucidate for the sake of most uninformed critics. Then you have what we call parastatals. These are agencies that make money in the course of their duty. And the intent of the law that created each of them is that they will go out there, generate revenue, pay themselves, and return part of their earnings to the government coffers. If you have Abia State Signage Agency, the people that are in charge of billboards and all the rest. You have Abia State Broadcasting Corporation, people who are doing what you're doing. You have several of those small agencies. If you go to the law, I'm a lawyer, by the way, the law that created them stipulates their mode of employment, mode of dismissal, and mode of conditions of service, which is quite different from the civil service.
Sorry, Commissioner, I'm not
Now,
really
those
sure.
people who are employed by the Abia State Civil Service Commission
Okay.
are the people that you call core civil servants. Those people employed by other laws and other agencies outside the rules, the laws of the civil service are called parastatals. Now, what those parastatals get from government at the time they are starting, just like you're starting this television house, and maybe the investor here decides, okay, because you are just starting, every month from my pocket, I'm going to be giving you 1 million naira to enable you stabilize. You know, when you are trying to learn how to ride a bicycle, an elder may come and hold the path for you and assist you to stabilize. The moment you stabilize, he leaves the bicycle for you to meander as you are. So when you set up a new parastatal, government normally gives them what is called subvention. In Igbo we call Egon Bonyaka, an assistance to enable you find your feet and stabilize. Because it's assumed that by the time you're starting a new radio station or a new agency, you have not started making profits. But after a while, when you are stable, you are now expected to contribute revenue back to source, the government.
Does that have a timeline?
Yes, some do, based on the law. No two parastatals have the same law. If I want to go to the House of Assembly and say, create a parastatal for Mr. A or B to do this for government, I will specify all of these details. And the House of Assembly will pass a law unique to the parastatal. The law setting up BCA is not the same as the law setting up ABSA. It's not the same as the law setting up orientation agencies. So all of these parastatals, the intendment of the law is that they will not rely on the skeleton of the civil service. That's why their conditions of service is not the same as that of the civil service. They are meant to go out there and flourish in their area of specialization and indeed contribute to the common plus from where they are treated. So if that is the case, it means that when I made that observation, what I'm saying is that those who came into the service through the right channel of the Civil Service Commission and who are, strictly speaking, the responsibilities of Abia State government in terms of emolument. And I repeat it on this station that not one of such people are owed salaries. But if I send you as a parastatal, even if you're my son, and you grow up to an age, I say, okay, young man, go to Ariara or go to Ariara, and I help you with part of my wealth to start a shop. I expect that at a particular time, if you're a dutiful son, that you should be able to, stabilize and start returns. But if I'm giving you, for instance, for my son, I'm helping you with 500,000 to pay for shop, first year, second year, third year, 15 years, 20 years. Instead of you to make profits and say, Daddy, thank you, you have tried, allow me to continue and even come back with a little bread from mommy and other. You now make that my little assistance the fulcrum of your existence, and you refuse to make profit, even if you are my son from my loins. I will see you as a challenge.
Okay.
As a challenge I use because I don't like using the word problem. But I know that most of you will see such a child as a problem child. So any parastatal, what is sought, who is on, for instance, if you have a sopadic, they have their law, they pay their staff, they hire and fire. The government doesn't hire for them. The government doesn't hire for them. Those institutions, they hire for themselves based on the number they think is necessary for them. The challenge you have is that people over the years treated these parastatals as if they are public, just like the civil public. No. A parastatal is supposed to be slim and fit. This entire television training institute, I'm not sure your staff here is up to 50. Are you up to 50 by your staff strength?
Just about that, not up to that.
Not up to that. Your staff cannot, if you want to make profit and break even, you have to be watching your earning while employing. You have to bite as much as you can chew. But when you have a radio station that has over 300 workers, and you have over 60 people on leave every month, it's an aberration, there's something wrong. Which means that successive boards, successive politicians who, because normally all these pastors have what we call governing boards. If they are educational institutions, call them governing council. Those governing boards are like the government of those parastatals. They are the ones supposed to approve, employ, not employ.
But will it be wrong to call them the eye of the government in those institutions?
They are not the eye of the government. They are independent legal institutions. Yes, they are appendages of government.
But they are appointed by the government, right?
Listen, if you want to be educated, you listen. Now, these young people are supposed to be there in terms of employees on account of the decision of these elders appointed into those boards, who will say, okay, how much is your profit for the year? If you are making this amount of profit for the year, this is the ceiling of what you cannot employ. But because of the so-called Nigerian political environment and political factor, if four of us are members of a board, I say, okay, now that we are here, let us use this opportunity and employ our own people. We may just sit down and bring a cup of coffee. After drinking, why you bring 5, bring 10, I'm the chairman, let me bring 20. That board will stay about 3 years, they will go. Another board will come and bring in, without being sensitive to,
also high,
to the reality on the ground. After all, it's government. It's not government. That is a misconception. It's an arm of public service whose intent is to be semi-governance, semi-independent. What government is does, okay, for us to have a flourishing media house, let us set up a broadcasting house. But since broadcasting by its nature is a business venture, we give them a little subvention, a little support. When they stabilize, they take care of themselves. Now they turn around and now decide to be infants forever. Then government will continue to get bad name as a result of the bad conduct of people who are not strictly speaking under the control of government apparatus and government institutions. If it's in the civil service, before you enter, you will pass through almost the eye of the needle. Even before you are promoted, you must pass a particular test, what we call Gen 35 and the rest. Then when you pass all that test, when you go through that before you're promoted, it's required. But in a startup, you may have one person come in as general manager because he likes the shape of your nose. You were employed in 1998. He makes you level 14. If he doesn't like this man the way he's fair, he says, stay there in level 10. Even though both of you are employed at the same time. In the civil service, such a thing will not happen without somebody raising an eyebrow. So I want to make this a final explanation here, that it is not in the interest. I told you that government is there to protect the interest of the people as it affects their security and welfare. It is not in the interest of the 5 million Abians and more who voted Governor Kizé into office, for him to fold his hand and watch institutions that should be bringing back to government becoming a drain pipe for government resources.
Okay, sorry.
Honorable Commissioner, once again, we thank you for coming. But I want to say this. Some majority of the residents of Aba are really happy with the government of Abia State because of the relocation of the abattoir by Aba River. But the worry about that is about the lack of amenities in the new place, and considering what has happened recently about the shootout of the unknown gunmen. So what is your take on that, about this lack of amenities?
We don't have lack of amenities in the new site, please. What we have is an ongoing improvement in the existing amenities. Because I don't think the semantics we use are charitable to government. How can you say there's lack of amenities? And yet there is house. House is not an amenity. There's lack of amenity. There's road to that place. Did you jump to go there? Is road not an amenity? There's lack of amenity. There's borehole there. Borehole is not amenity. If you tell me that there are room for improvement in terms of what the amenity will be, I will agree with you, because there's always room for improvement. This is your studio. You have all the things. You are using fan here. There's no air conditioning. Can somebody say there's lack of amenity in this studio? But we can say we don't have all that a modern studio should have. And so most will tell me, yes, we are just starting. We are not here up to 2 years. We are making efforts. With time, we get it. Government is not different from this place. The only difference is the size. Okay? So if government sets up a new environment like the new abattoir site, government provide basic amenities that are basic. Then with time, all the other once we fall in place. Then what did you say happened? Nothing happened that is not happening in Kaduna or in Jos or in Lagos or along the road. The other time I was on my way to Enugu. As soon as I passed Ogu Junction, somewhere before the UNTH, some strangers emerged on the road and opened fire on my vehicle. If you go to that my car, you have over 34 bullet holes. So that I'm here with you today is the grace of Almighty God. And several people have lost their lives in such senseless attack by hoodlums. So the incident that happened around the Abattoir is an incident that is now commonplace in our neighboring states. The other time I understand in one of the states, traditional rulers gathered for a meeting at Njaba, and they were slaughtered. Those traditional rulers, are they Hausa people? Are they Yoruba people? They are Igbos. They were slaughtered in their meeting. So when an incident happened, let us situate it properly. There is general state of insecurity in the land, occasioned by the confused APC government at all levels. APC is hammer house of horror. Now, something like APC never happened to Nigeria again. Because whereas we had isolated incidents of insecurity in Nigeria in 2015, now every day we are living in fear. People cannot move from one part of this country to the other. Again, most states in the north have become burial ground, where every day you open the ground to lay down citizens who are going about their normal businesses. So what happened at Omomozo is sad and shocking, but it's part of the general state of insecurity that has become our lot since we had the unfortunate appearance of APC in governance at the federal level. So, but in Abia, Abia is the oasis of peace in the whole Southeast. Check your phone, Google it, by the National Security Watch, and of course, even by the Nigeria Statistics Board. In the whole of Southeast, Abia has the lowest incidence of kidnapping, lowest incidence of deaths, and in fact, zero in some of the indices. Last Christmas, we had here at Address Hotel a homecoming for all Abians in the diaspora. They came in here and they are happy in their hundreds. Not one incident of insecurity throughout the Christmas period in Aba and environs. It's never been like that before. And security doesn't just happen. Do you understand me? When you are talking about your security in Aba, you are moving around. Abike Dawe from the Abike Dawe is the woman in charge of the Diaspora Commission at the national level. She said when she entered Aba, somebody was calling her when she was, don't go into Aba, Aba is not safe. And she said, but I have a job to do. When she entered Aba, she was on edge, watching out for the nearest boa, but there was none. She stayed there for a complete 3 days, went out on her own, independent of security, and she came back and said, truly, things are not what they seem. Abia is the oasis of peace. What is happening in terms of herdsmen attack? If you even around Abia State University, you discover that anytime there is a problem involving that institution and the student, it's happening at the Hube end. We have little or none around the Abia end. It's always once you pass the Abia State boundary, as you enter the next state, you see that problem happen. And I can tell you that it's because of the superior intelligence that is being employed by the state government in terms of handling of security issues. It's because of the commitment, overwhelming commitment of Governor Kezipas to issues of security. It's because of the proactiveness, the innovation. The CPAMS is there, TMAS is there checking some aspect of traffic issues and insecurity. We have the Ministry of Homeland Security, the first in the whole country. We have the Abia Vigilante Service. And now we have our own Ibubago that was launched without fanfare, but became a discrete security intelligence network that goes up to the farms and streams and all the ungoverned places where these bandits are living. Somebody built this architecture that we're enjoying. What is the name of this person? His name is Governor Okeze Victor Bazo. He's the one that built this architecture. So that you're sitting down here with me interviewing and you're not on edge, and you go back to your house every day and come out every day, And you don't have this TV here reporting about incidents of insecurity on a daily basis, like you see in other states. Give that credit to Governor Kezipazo, and you will not be wrong.
Okay, Mr. Commissioner, when you talk about this present administration, what really comes to mind is the road infrastructure. I remember last year when I observed 30th anniversary of the creation of the state. Governor Kezipazo claimed that his administration has rehabilitated and constructed 148 roads across the state. Now, are you not worried that some projects in Aba may be uncompleted before the government leaves in 2023? Some road projects.
Are you not happy that most road projects in Aba have been completed?
I'm very happy.
You are very happy. Say it first.
Some of them.
Say it first. Because you see, the thing I have about even God, every time you wear and go with your wife and go and dance in front of your pastor to thank God. Why do you thank God? And in fact, we say after all, it is the duty of God to give us life. If He doesn't want to give us life, why did He create us? It is duty to provide us security. But God calls such people unfaithful and unprofitable servants. God inhabits the praises of His people. How much more a man? Somebody will see glaringly. In 2013, I came into Aba. I had the misfortune of trying to go to Ozazibike's house there at Omola Road. The moment I entered Omukebu, what I saw with my eyes,
It was impossible.
the type of bombs. Then there were about two young boys, mischievous young boys. They kept telling me, I don't worry, come, there's road here. I kept following these people. At a point, they said, go right. The moment I went right, my car went inside the ditch. They said, okay, how much? How much are you going to pay us? That was the state of this Ukebo Omola Aziz. Nobody talks about Ehere. Because Ehere, if you watch the films I have shown, the woman in my video, when I was covering Ehere, 265 videos, said they used to climb fence to access some parts of Ehere.
Am I aware?
You are aware. Why didn't you say it here? Because you only want to oscillate like the pendulum between Ngwa Road and First Road. Was you that there? We are talking about a city that was completely decrepit before Ibazu came on board. Aba, this our Aba, was dead, in brackets, dead by way of infrastructure before Ibazu came. The infrastructural situation in Aba was dead. That's the word. It was comatose. Which means that Aba was quickly turning into one huge urban slum. You go to Mivatin, dead, closed. You cannot go on your Youngsha and travel to anywhere in the night anymore. Night travel cancelled. You go to Ezekiel, trees were growing at the middle of, am I right or wrong?
You're right.
The first branch of Diamond Bank in the whole of Abia State is at Ezekiel, before they converted to Access Bank. At Nivatin there, by Ezekiel there. Now, in front of that place, trees were growing on top of the road. You go to Ukebu, forget it. You go to Ehere, forget it. You go to Ochefo, forget it. You go to Egege, forget it. You leave, you want to go to Abowore Road. Immaculate, gone. MCC, gone. Kamalo, gone. All of that as Okibo Road, region with potholes. Ezekiel Phase 2, all the way to number 1 as Okibo Road at the Presbyterian Church. You cannot go there. That is the state. Because when I did my master's degree in law, we do what we call comparative analysis. Comparative studies means that you look at one jurisdiction, what existed, and then you compare with what it says. There is a dispensation that must go down in history as the golden dispensation of Abia development, and that is the dispensation of Governor Kezipazo.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Commissioner. At this point, we are going to take the first break of the show, and when we come back, issues of the moment continues. Today, we are having an interaction with the Abia State Commissioner of Information and Strategy, Honorable Eze Chikamnayo. Stay tuned. of Abia State government. And our guest remains the Abia State Commissioner of Information and Strategy, Honorable S. Chikamnayo. Chuks Mwagre, I want you to ask the next question after coming back from that short break.
Okay, Honorable Commissioner, in your recent media briefing in Omoaya, you told the journalists that Governor Bazo will deliver quality and durable roads. And now one of the reasons given for maybe some of the roads that have failed over time is the classification trunk A, trunk B, and trunk C. Looking at Aba, we don't really have an industrial layout. Most of our roads are being plied by heavy-duty trucks. You see, so is it really viable that our state is constructing trunk C roads in those areas, knowing fully well that those roads are going to be put to use by, heavy-duty trucks?
Well, what we have done is what we call the fallacy of assumption, which means you are not giving specifics. You are making generalizations, and it's difficult for me to react to speculations. You have not mentioned any road. You say most of the roads. Are you leaving me to guess the roads they're talking about?
No, it's not like a guess, okay? Like the road that connects Obiungwa to Akwa Ibom State. After the construction, we experienced a failure on that road. It was said that because of the usage by some heavy-duty trucks, that was why the road collapsed. So I'm now asking, since we don't have, specific order that, it prohibits heavy-duty trucks flying those roads, is it really necessary that we go on constructing trunk C roads? Why don't we just go on trunk, even if it's only 5 roads that we have, then it become durable and quality roads like you promised in Omaya?
Okay, let me not belabor you. One, all the roads done by Governor Bazo, and I mean all, are durable roads. Cement technology became a terminology in Abia road construction under Governor Bazo. Before Governor Bazo, we used to have what they call Taiwan roads. But under Governor Bazo, if you go to the market now, it's solid. MCC has been done since 2016, 2015-16 is there. The same thing goes for Ukebu Road. Ukebu Road was constructed within 100 days in office of Governor Bazo. There is no single pothole on the whole of Ukebu Road up to now. Are you not amazed? Ukebu Road that you used to know, 6 years down the line, not one pothole. Is that durability or not? Is there no other definition of durability in your dictionary? When there is a road, Ukebu Road, plied by both big truck, small truck, medium weight truck, even your leg, there is no single pothole in the whole of Ukebu Road 6 years down the line. There is no single pothole in the whole of Umola Road. You veer off the Here Road. Now, if you look at Osun Road, for instance, the only place we're having challenge there is at the joint between Osun and First Road because of the spillover of water from First Road, which is an ongoing project. So when they go in there, the trucks, they collect all of the dirt into that end of the road. But once you pass that place that is undergoing construction, the rest of Osun Road that you know is solid. Now, solid cement technology is what made Abia Road. Anybody that is no wire will tell you the story of Abia Road between Isi Gate and Ishi Court. The moment you reach Eastern Comfort Hotel around Stampo, even if you don't know how to dance Awilo, you'll be dancing Awilo Lumumba on that place. You know what it's called Awilo?
No, it's clean.
So you school in Umwaya. Tell the audience what Abia Road used to look like. It was impossible. It was impossible. And successive government, from military to civilian, in the last 20 years, have done everything they could do, no solution. But since Governor Bazo put his mark of quality on that road, using, for the first time again in the history of Abia State, using Arab contractors, grade A contractors coming into the heart of the town, not a federal road. That road has remained solid, meandering through a very romantic pathway all the way to Isikot. And now we are taking it from Isikot all the way to Obakla Junction, dualizing it. Proper dualization. Street lights, flowers in the median. Now, Governor Bazo is known for quality. When he became governor, the Executive Council of Abia State, the chambers changed. Anywhere you see Governor Bazo touch, the next thing you see there is a change in terms of outlook and quality. He's a man of class. And he has brought this class and this excellence and this panache to bear on everything he does, not just roads. So please, there are quality roads. But the isolated incidents we are talking about, which is between Obingwa and Akwa Ibom, happened because we had a federal government that is insensitive to Abia State and our roads. Ikotepene Road in Umuahia leads from number 1 Ikotepene Road by Abia Road all the way through Kwano to Ikotepene. That road has been undergoing construction by the federal government for the past 11 years, starting from 2010. They come there, they award the contract, and with that contract, they tie that road legally. Nobody, not even the state, can come in. Then the contractor will come and do drainage for about half a kilometer and go. From 2010, throughout the period of Ochendu, that road was under construction by federal government. Throughout this period of the the same road is still under construction. And I'm looking at all these APC opportunistic and very myopic political newcomers to go to that road and tell federal government that it doesn't need to take from 2010 to 2023 is 12 years. That it doesn't need to become an adult on that road, even if a child was born in 2010. But if it is government that is building a project within a span of 2 years, you see this misguided people coming to make noise. But their federal government, their APC is doing one road, Umuahia Tikwano, of less than how many kilometers, 10 kilometers, for 12 years. So, he who comes to equity must come with clearance. And he who comes to equity must necessarily come with equity. So, that failure of that Umuahia Tikwano road is what led all the trucks that are coming from Owerri, from Anambra, from Enugu, instead of them to go from Umuahia to Tikwano to Akwa Ibom, they all veered through this Tronsi road you are talking about. And if you are the road, you will fail. Because if a foundation is built for a bungalow, and you suddenly start, because of greed and avarice, you start piling up story buildings. The man that did his own in Lagos built almost 22 stories, and then went and brought cherubim and seraphim and Sele, 15. Went and brought Sele and cherubim to start jingling bell and dancing there. A day after they danced, they died there. Because you cannot tell me that if the federal government had done their bits of ensuring that the federal road between Umuahia and Ikotepene is done, that all those trucks would have gone into the village road, constructed for the good people of Sikop and their neighbors. So, when we were constructing the road, we were doing our part as a state government. We didn't know that the federal government would not do their part. It is their failure to do their federal road that pushed all the trucks meant for federal road into state roads. And we were not yet born. I wasn't born even when the Oyibo people said there should be trunk A, trunk B, trunk C. What it means is that the road between my village of Ngodo and Mbala, you don't need to go and build it like an expressway, knowing that the traffic expected to go through that road is not heavy. So you reserve that money. Instead of building it as a trunk A road, you use that same money and build more rural roads for other people who need to get their product from the farm to the city centers. So you cannot blame the government that has done its part, or the state government that has built this road. Blame the federal government, whose failure to do their own road led all the trucks into the tiny roads meant for villages and communities. That is why I told you that you must situate your criticism very intelligently when you want to confront government. The people who run government are your brothers and sisters. We are selected on the basis of our capacity to do this job. And then for me, I have done this job as Commissioner for Information. I was Commissioner for Information in 1999. This is 2022. I did it also between 2010 and 2015, and I'm doing it now. Anytime you want to ask me a question, you must research your question very well. and know that you are coming with facts and not speculations. Federal government of Nigeria has been very unfair to the people of Abia State as it affects federal roads in Abia. Why is it that the states that join APC from the southeast have all manner of attention, both solicited and unsolicited, whereas the PDP states in the southeast are starved of rights that they should have? Tell me why it is difficult for federal government of Nigeria to do from Aba to Port Harcourt. How many years will it take to do that road? How many kilometers? Less than 60 kilometers. But federal government of Nigeria has stretched from Abuja to Kaduna, from Kaduna all the way to Kano for record time. But from Aba to Port Harcourt, they are recalling this man, there is excuses. Then if the people here who say they are in APC are not suffering from amnesia, amnesia is a state you are in, you don't even know your name anymore. If the APC people in Abia are not suffering from amnesia, they should be the ones piling pressure on their party at the national level to come and do for them what the state federal government have done for other APC states. Those shifting the blame to PDP or shifting it to Governor Azo are myopic, parochial, and they suffer from acute amnesia.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Commissioner, for that explanation. Now, I completely agree with you with what Dominic Basu did at Upper Road from surplus axis. I lived in Noma here for 4 years. Now, why didn't the government do exactly that? When you talk about Fox Road, what happened?
Yeah, what happened in Fox Road is that those who want to tell the truth know that we are not talking about Fox Road as a road. We are talking about Ifo Barabese. Some roads, if you are going to do road from Lagos to Badagry, you discover that that road less than 2 kilometers took over 3 billion naira. Less than 2 kilometers.
Because of the soil texture.
Because of the topography, the soil texture, and the position of the terrain as per the what we call sea level in geography. Now, First Road that has become intractable is not because there is any money water at Amikone. That one is a myth that does not exist. It's because of there is a flood basin
At
Ifobara. When I was part of the previous administrations, we visited there and we discovered that when the water comes all the way from Aba, different parts of Aba, whether it's Orata, whether it is Onuma, whether it's Ososode, all those water find their way around the low belt of the area. You know, that place is below the sea level. Normally,
it's a low point.
It's a very low point. Normally, if the people who situated the area had some level of what I call geological consideration in mind, they would have known that that point is not the best point to situate a market. Normally, you situate a market at low grounds. At high grounds. Above the sea level. Reasonably above the sea level. Now, the location of our area adjacent to Ifo Barabese means that for you to do any road into an area, you must solve the flooding problem of that place. So for years, every government will come and peep around. I remember on one of the occasions we came in there and we discovered that the bank adjacent to the gates of our area was already submerged in flood. And most governments who want political expediency, they don't want to touch it, even with a long spoon. They do their Taiwan road, do their gymnastics, and their term of 8 years is gone. But not Governor Kizikpazu. Governor Kizikpazu is a genuine development agent, driven by the passion to create a better life for Abians and deliver quality to posterity. What did Governor Kizikpazu do? He decided to address the former challenge once and for all. That is where we brought in development agencies. We brought in experts. If you watch, at the inception of that construction, a lot of buildings gave way. And the consideration was to make sure that that water is channeled all the way to water side. The drainages were done. And after the first pilot, this thing you call coronavirus came, if you remember. somewhere early to 2020. And our brothers who are selling tile and building materials, most of them are located along First. So there was lockdown occasioned by coronavirus. Families were suffering. Businesses were closed. Immediately after the coronavirus thing came down a little bit, remember that road was closed to construction from Okiwe Road as they blocked that place. This building material people went to Gombe Bazo in tears, crying. Oga, we are dead. Our businesses, our containers, everything is lost. Just give us a little opportunity to carry our trucks, at least take our goods away from there to where we can sell. Governance is not an easy thing. The governor, out of compassion, heeded to their cry. Remember, by that time, the first piling has been done. The actual coating hasn't been done. Those trucks went into that road. As that was happening, the rainy season came on board. All those places they were plying with their heavy load collapsed. One day, I met the president of the building materials. I said, I was there at the lodge the day you came to plead with the government. Now that you have used your truck to make sure that this road is fair, why have you not come to radio to tell others that you were the one that was being considered? You have gone in while the Bazuka is a bad way. But anyway, that is a story for another day. The truth and the happy news is that government is back on First Road. We are now doing the needful. We are addressing those particular sensitive spots. And we are doing something ingenious in terms of the water around the Before Bank. Now, that is ongoing project, isn't it? It's an ongoing project. If you go there now, you see that work is going. Ngwa Road is ongoing project. We have done drainage right and left, all the way from Asa Road, all the way to Waterside. We have succeeded in that. We are doing a banner street as we speak. We are doing around cemetery. Okay? And we are doing Omuma Road. These are ongoing projects. We have done over 43 roads completed in Abia. All the way from Obikabe Junction. We have gone all the way through to Osok, to the express, and more. Now, if we are doing over 40 roads and we are doing ongoing work in plus or minus 7 major roads in Aba, including Port Harcourt Road, are we trying or are we not trying? If it is in WAEC, we have scored more than 80%. Is it not an error? So, if you have an ongoing project, and somebody who says he's a politician will go into the gutter of an ongoing project and begin to take a selfie, is he suffering from schizophrenia or not? Can't you help him to Tumbozo where they treat mad people? Because it's only in our plan that a so-called honorable member will go and begin to take selfie in the gutter of an ongoing road. You can only draw attention to a road when that road has been abandoned and there is no activity going on and government is no longer remembering the road. You say such a strategic project as Ngwa Road, as Maham Road, but here is the government. Bulldozer will be on one side. This retarded honorable will be on the other gutter taking safety. So that shows you the level of backwardness we have in some of these people who call themselves politicians.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Chideduma Jele is itching to ask a question, but before he does that, let us take a question from the audience, students of Living Television Film Academy. First of all, identify yourself properly and answer your question.
My name is Sharon Michael from the Department of Film and Multimedia Studies in this grade school, Living Television Academy here in Ghana. My question is this: the present administration has had interest in the development of the youth so far, and mind has given a free skill acquisition for Abia youths to acquire a skill of their choice. So my question is this: what has this administration or the government done to facilitate the program, and to what extent have they done?
Thank you very much. I want to appreciate appreciate you and all of you who are participating in this program here at Living Television. I want to also thank the governor for putting over 30 youths on the plane and taking them all the way to China, train them to acquire skill in shoemaking on how to use modern equipment, brought them back and set up the Enyimba Automated Shoe Factory. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Good. Those people, they are youths. They are not our grandparents, neither are they our parents. That is what we call sustainable empowerment of youths. Because instead of you to give fish to youth, it's better you teach that young person how to fish. That's what we call multiplier effect. Government Council is doing sustainable youth empowerment that gives you skill, not just to be employed, but to become an employer of level. So we did that for the youths that went to China. We collected another set of youths and took them to Australia on a scholarship by Abia State government. We collected another set of youths and took them to India. Please, when you go home, open your phones and Google Brigadier 365. As of today, we are doing the 30th video, and it will be important for those of you who are learning filmmaking to see what we are doing there. Because what we are doing is, we don't talk about these projects. We allow the beneficiaries themselves to talk about the project and how it has impacted their lives. So the Brigadier 001 on our back fashion show, you see young boys and young girls who are trained, who are now training others, and you see the multiplier effect. You see in ASPO 003, in that order, every project we have done. So instead of calling a set of news to the stadium and then bringing NTA and channels and Living TV to come and witness where government is giving them headpan and wheelbarrow and motorcycle, Governor Basu, in an ingenious way, decided that he's going to give the youth the capacity to catch fish by putting them in shoe academy, by putting them in television academy like yourself, by putting them on scholarships abroad, by ensuring that at the end of the day, even when he is no more government, these youths have acquired the skill, not just to be employed, but to employ others. That's what we are doing to sustain the skill. Now, other issues that has to do with how government is helping you to achieve this goal and the things government are doing are issues of specifics. But I can assure you that there is unqualified support for what we are doing. The government is not relenting in any way. And your proprietor, Moses, will attest to the fact that without government support, all of you will not be sitting here today. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Now, Mr. Jerry, you can go ahead and ask your question.
All right, Honorable Commissioner. Recently, there was this politician who contested for the governorship of this state sometime, and he was all over the air announcing he's offsetting the arrears of pensioners. Was that an indictment to the governor or to the state, or did it actually happen?
Actually, I'm a bit reluctant sometimes, most times really, to respond to emergency philanthropists who call themselves politicians. And Udensi is an emergency philanthropist. And misguided as he is, he sometimes becomes a bit mischievous. Because when I want to go to motherless babies home to give alms, I don't carry cameras. I don't go to motherless babies home and say, give me a list of all the disabled persons. During the COVID-19 era, each one, aid one, owned by Chief Nana Nwafo, donated so much across Abia State. He did not try to make political capital out of it. Chris Odnapi Bukrisnak did the same. Greg Ibe of Greg Memory University brought in so much to assist Abia. He did not make political capital out of it. But you see a man whose antecedents is very hazy and unclear. Somebody who is on walkie-talkie and say he's a security expert without any certificate. We just woke up one morning and begin to hallucinate about payment of pensioners. What does he know about pension? If you ask that man to define pension and pensioners, he may not even know what it's all about. So it's an opportunistic, politically motivated emergency philanthropy that is both mischievous and unfortunate. And I don't want us to waste our time on that one.
Okay, Honorable Commissioner, the review that 365 has been running for the 30th day, I think that's today. I think I've been seeing a lot of...
Have you been following?
Of course I have. So I think you're trying to give, as the image maker of the government, you're creating a very beautiful image there. Now, the social media has been a very large source of disseminating unverified information. How is your ministry tackling this particular menace without resorting to media gathering?
That is that racist, right? You just answer the question before you ask it.
Honorable Commissioner, there are some...
Because what we have done with the 365 is we are no longer interested in bantering words with there's one demonic Dominic somewhere or some other misguided individuals. We refuse to reduce ourselves to their shenanigans of exchanging words with them. We said, okay, the end of argument is the presentation of evidence. Is it not true? Evidence is the end of argument. So what is evidence? How can you tell the woman at Osokwa, or the woman at Umwe, or the man that is on his way to a farm at Mboro Road, who has come out before the camera to say before, for you to go from Mboro to Abia Junction, if you are a young girl or young man wearing white shirt, you remove your white shirt and put in a waterproof. Then you wear any other shirt of little or no use. You enter bike from Mboro to Abia Junction, find a house and change. Because that road for more than 20 years was impassable. And then bike, ordinary motorbike refused to go. Which means that my grandmother or that grandmother at Mboro who wants to go to farm must necessarily carry her load in her head to her farmland. And the woman came before the vision and said, today, under government powers, having done that road, that it doesn't take up to 5 minutes to access her farm that used to take her up to 5 hours because of the undulating nature of the discrepant road. Now, that is evidence. So once you want to argue with Chikamaya, no, go and argue with that grandmother at Mboro. Go and argue with that Karasola at Osokwa Junction. Go and argue with the vulcanizer along with Keburo. Or go and argue with the people at the Presbyterian Church at Ehere Road. Or people at Presbyterian Church at number 1 Asipio, who can now move from Ezekiel Phase 2 all the way to Ezekiel Phase 1 and find their way through Okigbo Road. So evidence is the end of arguments. And Governor Pazo has done exceptionally well. And we did that 365 days, one video, one day for 365 years. Days. Good means that for the next 365 days, already we have done 30 days as of today. We have done 30 videos. And gentlemen who are learning, it takes an average of 2 weeks to do one good video. Research, interviews, production, and all of that. But we are doing one video every 12 hours. Is that not ingenious? And we are bringing...
It all depends on the quality.
We are bringing, I'm telling you that the quality we have done, get your phone, download one, Libya 365, put it on your TV and you still have high quality. We are using DSTV cameras. We are doing top-notch production, comparable to what you get anywhere in the world. And we are putting those quality on Channels Television, on AIT, on HIP Television.
And I think you need to patronize us.
And of course, this television will get our videos when and if they desire to have it. So if you look at what we have done, we have simply told a small shut up to some of these misguided opposition by presenting the evidence before Abians. Let the facts, in law we say, res ipsa locutor. Let the facts speak for themselves.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Commissioner. But before we draw the curtain, we are racing against the clock. I think we cannot let you go without asking you this question, and I want you to be brief. Let us talk about the reconstruction of shops at Ariada and Umbaros. What is happening there? What is the situation?
Progress. The situation is progress. They asked me to be brief.
But as a brief as you are, Commissioner, I think I had the government.
I don't expect it to be as brief as possible. Why not say more?
The situation is progress, tremendous progress. Absolute progress. Because whereas before now, no government dared to enter there. Because of local politics and gymnastics of traders, Governor Bazo was able to get the confidence of the traders. No trader will want you to pull down his shop without assurance. Because every shop represents a family, represents livelihood, represents students, represents farmers, represents any family. One shop may be all they have from their generation to another generation. Before a man or woman will allow you to pull down his shop, he would rather you kill him if you don't give him assurance that that shop you are pulling down, you are bringing a better shop which will still belong to him or her. No other government in Abia secure that confidence except Government Bazo. But what we did is we don't want to go into area and bulldoze the whole shops or go into area and we want to do it phase by phase. Government must have human face. So if we say line 1, line 2, we finish that one and ensure that the owners go back to their shop. That will help us to gain the confidence of those whose shops are yet to be reconstructed. And that's what we are doing. And good things take time. Rebuilding a state is not indoor. We have to do the needful. We have to ensure that solid foundations are laid. We have to make sure we sacrifice expediency and entrench quality. So that at the end of it all, when we look back, we say there is a golden era in Abia governance, and that golden era belongs to Dr. Victor Okezie Ibazu.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner. Better, before you leave, what is the assessment of Living Television Film Academy? What you have seen so far, are you impressed?
Yes, Living Television Network is an ingenious and very progressive investment in posterity. I want to commend the management and staff and the students of this best-setting organization. And I want to pray that God will continue to prosper this place to the glory of God and to the service of Abia people.
Thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner. And with that, we have come to the end of today's edition of our program, Issues of the Moment. For the past 15 minutes, we have been interacting with Honorable Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Honorable Ezechika Nayo, who is also a legal practitioner. Honorable, it's a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much, my friend.
I also want to thank my professional colleagues who assisted me in interviewing the Honorable Commissioner, Mr. Chinedum Adele and Chuks Mwagre. Gentlemen, thank you for being part of today's edition of the program.
Thank you. You're welcome.
My name is Chimezie Ozems. Thanks for watching.